Hi, my name is Renee Mathis with Genesis Productions, and I have a lovely guest today. Please introduce yourself.
I am Janel Scarborough.
Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you.
So, Janelle, tell us about yourself. I know you are a New Yorker.
Yes, I am born and bred, but I am of Caribbean heritage. My parents are from Trinidad, so I'm a first-generation immigrant, which I'm very, very proud of. And it's funny, with the arts, usually most Caribbean families say the arts are a hobby. They're not they're not exactly a profession. So it took me a while to actually be able to say proudly that I am a patron of the arts and I work in the arts. Now, with Caribbean parentage, you had to sort of go the route of the professional. So I majored in communication arts, got my degree that way, and then afterwards I decided I wanted a Bachelor of Fine Arts, so I got that in theater, and that led me down the road to creativity and producing and just, exploring all of the arts.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So how was that first conversation when you went into your Caribbean parents and you told them, I am not going to be a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse?
Okay, so, my mother always used to say, because she used to say that I was a very good debater. That was her diplomatic saying that I spoke too much. So I said to her, I said, Mom, I understand that that's your vision for me, but I think you have seen a spark in me that the arts are just something that light me up inside. And there was no one else in my family that, I was sort of the black sheep of the family as far as being in the arts. I had one other uncle who was really good at planting a seed. He was in actual creative arts, but more drawing and that type of thing. And so he saw a seed in me and nurtured that. He loved words. And so that was our thing. We would share words. He was so interesting. This was at the time when we had dictionaries and people would actually the big dictionaries.
Right, because now we have Google.
Right, exactly. So it's definitely old school. And so he took it upon himself to actually read the dictionary. And so when we would meet, we would trade words. And so I am a self-confessed word nerd.
Okay.
And that seed planted in me is directly correlated to what I'm doing today, because what I'm most passionate about really is developing projects with artists. But the first thing on the page is the word. As we say, the genesis, right? The genesis is the word.
Genesis.
Right, see? And I like to think of the genesis as the creation, the birth story, right? So when I work with artists and creative content creators, it's really about getting what's on the page and developing those characters and polishing that dialogue to get it to the next level. That's what I'm really most passionate about.
And that's wonderful, because so many times we, as artists, we're so passionate about so many things, and it's kind of trying to put that into words and to make a living out of it.
Right.
What are some projects that you're working on now that you're pretty passionate about?
Well, I'm really passionate about my collaboration with Larry Floyd, which is what has brought me here to Genesis. And we do have something in common where we see a bridge that I always think about the creative time capsule, and I'm always really concerned about what we're putting in this time capsule. I feel like our generation, quite frankly, is a little bit in the deficit of what we're putting in the creation time capsule, because we have so many things that are sort of remixed. We're not creating original content. And so I'm really, really excited about the next step, because I feel like even though we're telling stories, we were kind of telling the same story. And now with democratizing the arts, we can have people who might not have had access to create their own stories to really mentor them and bring them to the next level in a professional way. And that's something, bridging that gap and bringing those stories to fruition is really, really something that we're really looking forward to, and doing that with Genesis.
That's wonderful. Do you have a project that you're working on right now that you can
We have several
about?
that are like in the incubation stage.
Give us one. Give us one.
Let's see. I would say probably which one? There's so many. I don't want to favoritize any. It's like children. So you know what I mean? Like you don't want to.
Right. Is it one that is relating to maybe anything to do with immigrants or women with in lieu of what's happening now? Is it anything that speaks to?
Well, the thing specifically, I think that it's about people really telling stories that they didn't have license to tell before. And it's interesting in this time that we're in with the Me Too movement and equality of the balance between male and female relationships, especially, that yes, these things happen to women, but they also happen to men too. So we have a lot of projects in the pipeline that are exploring the relationships between men and women and the cycle of that and how we relate to one another in that dynamic. So that's something that we're really, looking forward to.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Lastly, with regards to getting a project produced, we know it's very difficult. It's very expensive, especially living here in New York City. Do you have a couple of steps or like 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can leave with us for aspiring producers out there?
Well, I would say more for, I want to take it more to the artist level, because I think sometimes we as artists, we think of all the reasons why we can't bring a project to fruition. And it's a really exciting time right now. Back in the day, we used to think, especially with film, like, I can't afford, because now I feel like the arts are really being democratized. I mean, the person who has a cell phone can basically have a film done, in an expedited amount of time, and then you have an audience for it, even if it's Instagram. Like, storytelling is so important to telling these stories and leaving it to the next generation and the legacy of that. We as people of color, we have stories to tell, and we think about the cradles of civilization back with the griot and the storytelling of that and bringing that to the next and to the next and to the next. So I really want to encourage producers and content creators. Don't think of why you can't do something. Now is the time that even on a simpler level, that just get the story out. Get the story out. That's my encouragement.
Wonderful. How can we find you and keep up with you?
Through Genesis Consortium. Okay. That's where I'm planting my hat, so that's where I'll be.
That's where we'll be. Genesis. I'm Renee Mathis, and I'm out. Thank you.